The hum of the spaceship's engine was a deep, resonant sound that echoed through the vast hangar of the Galactic Union cruiser Celestial Accord. The ship, a marvel of engineering and aesthetics, was the size of a city, with walls of sleek metal and corridors lined with glowing energy conduits. This was no ordinary vessel. It was a flagship of the Galactic Union, a multi-species alliance that governed nearly a quarter of the known galaxy. The Celestial Accord was not only a display of the Galactic Union's power and prestige, but also a floating embassy, where ambassadors, dignitaries, and nobles from hundreds of star systems conducted the delicate dance of diplomacy. For the first time in human history, Earth had been invited to this dance. The Earth delegation had arrived only hours before, their transport dwarfed by the sheer size of the Union cruiser. Stepping off their ship, the humans found themselves in an environment that was both familiar and otherworldly. The hangar was filled with crafts from all across the galaxy, each representing a different species or culture, each with its own design philosophy. Some ships were sleek and minimalist, others bulbous and organic, still others covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change with the light. The air was thick with an unfamiliar metallic scent, the atmosphere carefully controlled to accommodate dozens of different species with their own respiratory needs. Among the humans was Elias Ward, a career diplomat with a reputation for his sharp mind and silver tongue. He'd been chosen for this mission not only because of his skills, but because of his adaptability. Elias was tall, with a lean build, and an intense, thoughtful expression that rarely wavered, no matter how tense the situation. He wore the formal attire of Earth's diplomatic corps, a dark uniform with sleek lines and an understated badge on his chest representing the United Earth government. Though he'd been to countless meetings and negotiations, this was unlike anything he'd ever experienced. Standing amidst such advanced technology and surrounded by beings from civilizations far beyond his comprehension, he felt the weight of history on his shoulders. As the Earth delegation stepped further into the hangar, they were greeted by a group of Galactic Union representatives. At the head of the group was a tall, regal-looking alien with silver skin that shimmered in the ambient light. His face was sharp and angular, with high cheekbones and eyes that glowed faintly blue. He wore a flowing robe that seemed to be made of liquid metal, shifting and undulating as he moved. "Welcome, delegates of Earth," the alien said, his voice deep and resonant. "I am High Chancellor Yreth of the Galactic Union. It is an honor to have you among us." Elias stepped forward, offering a respectful nod. "The honor is ours, Chancellor Yreth. Earth has long been curious about the stars, and today we take our first steps toward understanding the greater galactic community." The Chancellor inclined his head. "Indeed. The Union has watched your world for some time, curious about how a species as young as yours would develop. I must admit, your arrival has stirred a certain fascination among our members." His eyes glinted with something that might have been amusement. Elias could feel the eyes of the other Galactic Union representatives on him and his colleagues. Some looked curious, others skeptical, and a few openly disdainful. The Earth delegation had been briefed on this before their arrival. They knew that many of the advanced civilizations in the Union considered humanity a primitive species, a society barely out of its infancy. Yet the invitation to the Celestial Accord was proof that some in the Union saw potential in Earth, or at least a reason to observe them more closely. As the introductions concluded, the human delegation was led through the vast corridors of the cruiser. The halls were lined with panels that displayed flowing, abstract patterns in vibrant colors, seemingly alive and responsive to movement. The air was filled with a subtle hum, a reminder of the immense power coursing through the ship. Elias was captivated by the architecture, a blend of aesthetics and technology that he could barely comprehend. They eventually arrived at a grand chamber that served as the main assembly hall for the Galactic Union. The room was enormous, with a domed ceiling that projected a view of the stars, as though they were standing in open space. Rows of seats surrounded a central platform, each designed to accommodate different species, from the towering Avrathians with their elongated limbs to the squat, heavily armored Sarlvek. At the far end of the hall, a raised dais held seats for the highest-ranking members of the Union, including High Chancellor Yreth and several other dignitaries whose titles Elias could not yet decipher. But it was the group of alien nobles sitting to the right of the dais that caught his attention. They were the delegation from Sorella, a planet known for its elegance and culture, one of the jewels of the Union. The Sorellians were a humanoid species, but their skin had a faint metallic sheen, and their hair shimmered like spun silver. They wore garments that seemed to flow like liquid light, and their eyes held a depth that hinted at a civilization far older than humanity's. At the center of the Cerellian delegation sat Princess Arabella, one of the most prominent figures in the Galactic Union. Arabella was known throughout the Union as a woman of immense intellect and unyielding will. She was also known for her skepticism of younger species, and humanity, in particular, had been the subject of some of her most cutting remarks. Elias had been briefed on Princess Arabella and her reputation, but seeing her in person was something else entirely. She was strikingly beautiful, with high cheekbones, piercing eyes, and a poise that spoke of both strength and refinement. Her skin was a pale silver blue, and her hair fell in waves that seemed to glow faintly in the light. She wore a gown that seemed to be woven from stardust, a shimmering fabric that flowed around her like a nebula. As the Earth delegation took their seats, Elias could feel Arabella's gaze on him. She watched him with an expression that was both curious and disdainful, as though he were some peculiar insect that had landed on her dinner plate. Elias met her gaze with a polite nod, refusing to let himself be intimidated. If anything, her scrutiny only strengthened his resolve. The High Chancellor began the session with a formal address, welcoming the Earth delegation and outlining the agenda for the day. The purpose of this gathering was to discuss the potential integration of Earth into the Galactic Union, a process that would take years, if not decades. Today's session was merely the beginning, a chance for the Union to assess Earth's readiness and for humanity to prove itself worthy of membership. As the Chancellor spoke, Elias stole a few glances at the other delegates. Some looked bored, others attentive, but none seemed as invested as the Cerellians. It was clear that, for them, Earth's inclusion in the Union was a matter of some importance, though whether that was a positive or negative thing remained to be seen. When the Chancellor finished his speech, he invited the delegates to introduce themselves. One by one, representatives from various species stood and spoke, some offering polite welcomes, others issuing thinly veiled insults. Elias listened carefully, taking mental notes on the different factions and their attitudes toward Earth. Finally, it was his turn to speak. He stood, his posture straight and his voice steady. "Greetings, honored members of the Galactic Union. I am Elias Ward, representing the United Earth Government. It is a privilege to stand before you on behalf of my world. For centuries, humanity has looked to the stars with wonder and curiosity. We have dreamed of joining a greater community, of sharing knowledge and understanding across the vast distances of space. Today, we take our first steps toward that dream." A few delegates murmured in response, some nodding, others exchanging skeptical glances. Elias continued, undeterred. "We may be a young species, but we are also a resilient one. We have faced countless challenges on our journey, from natural disasters to conflicts among ourselves. Yet each time, we have emerged stronger, more united. We believe that diversity is our strength, that every voice has something valuable to contribute. It is our hope that, one day, we can add our voice to the chorus of the Galactic Union." When he finished, there was a polite round of applause from some of the delegates. Arabella, however, remained silent, her gaze fixed on him with an unreadable expression. Elias couldn't tell if she was impressed, annoyed, or simply amused by his words. The session continued, with various delegates debating Earth's merits and shortcomings. Elias spoke when necessary, defending humanity's achievements and acknowledging its flaws with equal honesty. He knew he was being tested, that every word he said would be scrutinized and judged. Yet he remained calm, determined to represent his people with dignity. By the end of the day, Elias felt both exhausted and exhilarated. The challenges ahead were immense, but he was ready to face them. As the assembly adjourned, he caught one last glimpse of Arabella. She was watching him again, her expression softened, though her eyes still held a glint of skepticism. Elias knew that winning her respect, and the respect of the Galactic Union, would be no easy task. But for the first time, he felt a flicker of hope. As the Earth delegation retreated from the vast chamber where the Galactic Union meetings convened, Elias Ward felt the weight of countless stares on his back. The grand introduction had been a mixture of cordial greetings, veiled threats, and open curiosity. Elias knew his performance would set the tone for Earth's reception among these advanced civilizations. Walking through the polished metal hallways of the Galactic Union cruiser, Celestial Accord, the echoes of his footsteps mingled with the distant hum of the ship's engine, a constant reminder of the monumental nature of his mission. Back in his quarters, a compact room with a view of the star-studded void, he reviewed notes from the session. The chilly reception from some of the older Galactic Union members, like those from Sorella, particularly stuck with him. Princess Aravella's thinly veiled disdain was a clear message. Earth had much to prove. Elias sighed and steeled himself for the diplomatic gauntlet ahead. His training had prepared him for skepticism, but the reality was always harsher. The following day, Elias joined a series of smaller, more intimate workshops intended to foster cooperation on various technological and cultural issues. As he entered the conference room, a sleek space with a translucent, luminescent table at the center, he noticed several delegates already in conversation. The atmosphere was less formal, yet Elias could feel the underlying tension, the unspoken judgments being passed. He took his seat, nodding to the other delegates, creatures of various shapes, sizes, and colors. To his right sat a delegate from Virona, a species known for their advanced bioengineering capabilities, and to his left was a representative from Krylix, a planet whose digital technologies were second to none. Elias introduced himself, and the session began. The discussion turned to energy solutions, an area where Earth was eager to advance. Elias presented Earth's recent developments in renewable energy sources, emphasizing humanity's commitment to sustainable growth. The Vironan delegate, a tall, slender being with skin that shifted hues with their mood, listened intently and then spoke thoughtfully. Your solar and wind technologies are primitive, yet there is an elegance in your simplicity. It reminds us of our own early innovations, they said, their voice a soothing melody. Their comment was a rare gesture of approval, and Elias felt a small victory. But the session was far from over. As he proposed a joint initiative to develop an interstellar energy grid, incorporating Earth's natural resource management with galactic technology, the room's atmosphere shifted. A delegate from a mining planet, whose economy relied heavily on the sale of fossil energy sources, scoffed at the idea. Such a project would undermine the sovereignty of our industries, they argued, their voice grating like the rock surfaces of their home world. Elias responded diplomatically, "Our goal isn't to undermine but to enhance. By integrating our systems, we increase efficiency and sustainability for all." The debate grew heated, with some delegates expressing interest while others remained staunchly opposed. Elias navigated the discussions with care, aware that every word was a step toward either alliance or alienation. After the workshop, as Elias walked back to his quarters, he replayed the conversations in his mind, analyzing each reaction, each response. He knew these discussions were only the beginning of what would be a long and complex journey towards integration. That evening, as he prepared for a gala hosted aboard the Celestial Accord, a social event designed to allow delegates to mingle in a less formal setting, he received a message. It was from Princess Aravella, inviting him to join her for a private conversation before the gala. Curious and somewhat apprehensive, Elias accepted. He met Aravella in one of the cruiser's observation decks, a serene spot where one could view the vastness of space. She stood by the panoramic window, her figure silhouetted against the backdrop of a swirling galaxy. Her presence was imposing, yet she spoke first with a softness he hadn't expected. "Elias Ward, I have watched you today. You handle yourself well among the stars," she said, her tone unreadable. Elias took a cautious step forward. "Thank you, Princess. I find that there is much to learn from the diversity of the Galactic Union." "Indeed," she replied, turning to face him. Her eyes, reflecting the starlight, seemed to probe his intentions. "But tell me, Elias, do you truly believe Earth is ready to stand among us? Your world is young, its cultures fragmented. The unity you require is still beyond your reach." Her words stung, but Elias recognized this as another test. Our youth is not a weakness but a strength. We are adaptable, eager to learn, and capable of rapid change. Our application to the Galactic Union is an expression of this desire to grow and contribute. Aravella's expression softened slightly. "Perhaps. But desire alone is not enough. You must prove that Earth can rise above its chaos, that it can offer something of value to us." The conversation that followed was intense, challenging, and surprisingly honest. Elias spoke of Earth's achievements, its art, its music, and its relentless pursuit of knowledge. Aravella listened, her demeanor thawing as she began to see the passion and potential of the human spirit. As they parted ways, Elias felt a cautious optimism. The night had opened a door, a chance to shift perceptions and foster mutual respect. As he walked to the gala, ready to face the other delegates, he knew the real work was just beginning. Every encounter, every conversation was a step toward a future where Earth might stand as an equal among the stars. The challenge was daunting, but for the first time, Elias felt it was possible. As the grand doors to the ballroom slid open with a whisper, Elias Ward stepped into a scene that could only be described as otherworldly. The celestial accord had been transformed into a veritable palace of light and shadow, where holographic constellations danced across the ceilings and walls, and floating orbs of light provided a soft luminescence that mimicked the ambience of a clear, starlit night. The air was filled with a symphony of alien melodies, each note crafted to resonate with the diverse auditory senses of the attendees. Elias paused at the threshold, taking a moment to absorb the spectacle. The gala was not just a social event, it was a show of cultural prowess and diplomatic opportunity, attended by the most influential members of the Galactic Union. As he scanned the room, he saw delegates from hundreds of worlds mingling, their forms ranging from a humanoid to the truly exotic beings of crystal that refracted light with every movement, amorphous clouds that shifted colors and shapes as they floated, and small, agile creatures that communicated with flashes of bioluminescent skin. Amidst this diversity, Elias felt a mixture of awe and trepidation. Tonight was an opportunity to forge alliances and build the relationships that Earth needed to secure its place in the Union. He adjusted his attire, a dark, fitted suit with subtle metallic threads that caught the light, and approached the gathering with determined strides. As he moved through the crowd, Elias was greeted with nods and murmurs of recognition. The earlier sessions had clearly marked him as a person of interest. He greeted each delegate with the appropriate sign of respect, a nod, a hand over the heart, or a slight bow, depending on their customs. His first meaningful interaction was with Ambassador Threx from the planet Galder, a towering figure whose skin shimmered like liquid metal. Threx was known for his planet's advanced metallurgical sciences, a field in which Earth desperately wanted insight. "Elias Ward, we meet at last," Threx rumbled, his voice deep and resonating. "Your planet's aspirations are the whisper of hope in the dark. Tell me, what visions does Earth hold for the future within the Union?" Elias took a deep breath before answering, choosing his words with care. "Ambassador, Earth envisions a future where our contributions in technology, culture, and ideals strengthen the fabric of the Union. We seek not just to learn, but to contribute, to be part of the advancements that drive us all forward." Threx nodded slowly, his eyes gleaming. "A noble vision. And what of your resources? Earth is rich in materials rare in other parts of the galaxy." Elias was prepared for this. "We are aware of our unique position, and we are eager to share our resources. However, we seek partnerships that respect our planet's integrity and the sustainability of our ecosystems." "Ah, sustainability," Threx mused. "A concept we, too, value greatly. Perhaps there is common ground for us to explore further." Encouraged by Threx's response, Elias continued to navigate the room, engaging with delegates from various systems, each conversation a step towards weaving Earth more tightly into the complex tapestry of galactic diplomacy. Midway through the evening, as he reached for a glass of a gently effervescing alien beverage, a hand touched his arm. He turned to see Princess Arabella, radiant in a gown that seemed woven from the very stars. "Mr. Ward, you navigate our galaxy's politics with surprising grace," she remarked, her tone softer than he had heard before. "Princess Arabella," Elias replied with a respectful nod. "I find the diversity of the Union to be its greatest asset, though it is not without its challenges." "Indeed," she said, her gaze penetrating. "And tonight, you will face another. There is a faction among us that views Earth's potential membership with skepticism. They will test you, subtly, through words and gestures. Be aware." Elias felt a chill at her warning. "I appreciate your counsel, Princess. Any guidance on how to approach them?" Arabella paused, considering his question. "Listen more than you speak. Observe their traditions, acknowledge their achievements, and above all, show them that Earth can be a respectful and valuable partner." The evening progressed, and Elias found himself drawn into deeper, more strategic conversations. Each interaction was a delicate dance of diplomacy, of give and take, where the slightest misstep could have repercussions far beyond the ballroom. As the gala reached its zenith, a hushed tone fell over the crowd as the High Chancellor of the Galactic Union Yureth ascended a small platform at the center of the room. His presence commanded immediate respect, and silence enveloped the room. "Esteemed delegates," Yureth began, his voice echoing softly through the chamber. "Tonight, We celebrate not just the unity and diversity of our great union, but also the potential for new beginnings. Earth has come before us, seeking guidance, partnership, and a place among us. Let us show them the best of what our cooperation can achieve. Applause filled the room, and Elias felt a surge of pride mixed with daunting responsibility. The eyes of the galaxy were upon him, upon Earth, watching to see if they would rise to the challenge. As the night drew to a close, Elias knew that the real work was just beginning. The interactions of the evening would ripple through the corridors of power, shaping opinions and decisions. He needed to build on the momentum, to turn polite interest into firm support. Walking back to his quarters, Elias felt both exhilarated and exhausted. The gala had been a success, but it was only a single evening in what would be a long campaign. Tomorrow, he would continue the work he had started, fortified by the knowledge that Earth's journey to the stars was not a solitary quest, but a shared venture with the potential to change the course of history. After the gala, the corridors of the Celestial Accord felt unusually quiet, the echoes of the evening's conversations still resonating in Elias's mind as he made his way back to his quarters. His interactions had planted seeds of interest among the delegates, but he knew that nurturing these seeds into real alliances would require more personal engagements. It was these smaller, more intimate meetings that often determined the outcome of larger political maneuvers. With this in mind, Elias set about arranging private discussions with several key figures who had shown a genuine interest in Earth's potential. The next morning, as the first light of the distant star filtered through his viewport, Elias received confirmation for a meeting that could prove pivotal. Delegate Aloran of the aquatic planet Hydronia had expressed an interest in Earth's water purification technology, a field in which Elias had considerable expertise. The meeting was set in one of the cruiser's many observation lounges, a room with a panoramic view of the starlit void, where the light played gently across the undulating walls, mimicking the underwater ambience of Hydronia. Aloran arrived punctually, her movements fluid and graceful, her skin reflecting the room's aquatic light. Elias greeted her with a traditional Hydronian gesture of respect, a hand extended with palms upward. Aloran responded in kind, her webbed fingers lightly touching his palm. "Elias Ward, your insights last night were illuminating," Aloran began, her voice carrying the soft cadence of Hydronian speech. "Hydronia is keen on sustainable technologies, and we are particularly interested in how Earth manages its aquatic resources." Elias nodded, presenting a data pad with details of Earth's latest advancements in water purification. "Our approach combines bioremediation techniques with nanofiltration, allowing us to clean large bodies of water without harmful chemicals. We believe this technology could be adapted for use on Hydronia, especially given your planet's unique biosphere." Aloran studied the information, her interest evident. "Impressive," she remarked. "Hydronia has faced significant challenges due to industrial pollutants in our oceans. Your methods could offer a new direction for us." As they discussed potential collaborative projects, Elias felt a growing sense of accomplishment. Here was an opportunity not only to showcase Earth's innovation, but also to make a tangible contribution to the Galactic Union. The meeting ended with an agreement to initiate a pilot project on Hydronia, a significant step forward for Earth's reputation and its technological prestige. Buoyed by the success of his meeting with Aloran, Elias was more determined than ever to continue building bridges. His next appointment was with Delegate Pkar from the mineral-rich planet of Zircones. Unlike Aloran's receptive demeanor, Pkar was known for his skepticism towards newer Union members, viewing them as untested and potentially unstable additions. The meeting with Pkar took place in the cruiser's botanical garden, a lush, green space that contrasted starkly with the cold metal of the ship's usual interior. Pkar was already there when Elias arrived, examining a bizarre-looking plant with vibrant, twisting leaves. "Elias Ward, I am curious about Earth's energy policies," Pkar stated without preamble, his tone direct and probing. "Zircones values stability and longevity. How does Earth plan to sustain its energy consumption without resorting to the exploitation of its planetary resources?" Elias, prepared for the question, discussed Earth's shift towards renewable energy sources, emphasizing the global efforts to reduce reliance on fossil fuels and increase investment in solar, wind, and geothermal energy. "Our goal is to achieve a balanced energy matrix," he explained, "one that can sustain our development without degrading our planet's health." Pkar listened intently, his expression unreadable. After a moment, he nodded slowly. "Your aspirations are commendable, though idealistic. However, Zircones might benefit from your experiences in solar energy. Our planet's 2 suns provide more than enough energy, but our storage technologies lag behind. Elias seized the opportunity, offering to share research on advanced energy storage solutions. Carr agreed to explore a joint research initiative, marking another diplomatic victory for Elias and for Earth. As the day progressed, Elias held several more meetings, each offering its own challenges and rewards. But it was the unexpected invitation from Princess Arabella for a late-night stroll through the Celestial Accords Observatory that caught him by surprise. Meeting Arabella in the quiet solitude of the observatory, away from the prying eyes and ears of other delegates, Elias felt the gravity of the moment. The observatory was dimly lit, the stars outside painting shifting patterns of light across their faces. "Mr. Ward, your efforts have not gone unnoticed," Arabella began, her voice softer, more reflective than he had ever heard. "I find myself intrigued by your passion and your vision for Earth." Elias, sensing a shift in their relationship, chose his words carefully. "Princess, Earth is but a small part of this vast galaxy, but we are eager to learn, to grow, and to contribute. We seek understanding and partnership, not just membership." Arabella looked out at the stars, then back at Elias. "Perhaps I have underestimated you, Elias Ward. Perhaps I have underestimated Earth." They talked for hours, sharing stories of their worlds, their hopes, and their fears. It was a conversation that transcended politics, a moment of genuine connection that Elias knew could be the key to truly winning over not just Arabella but perhaps even the more reluctant members of the Galactic Union. As Elias left the observatory that night, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The path ahead was still fraught with challenges, but the relationships he was forging here among the stars could one day ensure Earth's place in the Galactic Union. It was a daunting task, but for the first time, Elias felt it was truly within reach. Under the pale glow of distant nebulas, Elias Ward found himself walking alongside Princess Arabella after their unexpected but profound conversation in the observatory. The corridors of the Celestial Accord seemed to stretch infinitely, mirroring the vastness of space outside. This quiet walk back to the populated sections of the ship was filled with a contemplative silence that spoke volumes about the shift in their relationship. Arriving at a junction where their paths would diverge, Arabella paused and turned to Elias. "Your world intrigues me, Mr. Ward. It is raw, vibrant, and untested, much like the early days of Sorella," she confessed, her gaze lingering on him longer than necessary. "But be wary, for such fascination can be perilous." Elias met her eyes, understanding the layers of meaning behind her words. "And yet, without venturing through peril, we may never discover what truly lies beyond the horizon," he responded, his voice steady despite the palpable tension. Arabella smiled slightly, a rare, genuine expression that softened her usually impassive features. "Indeed, Elias. Perhaps it is time for Sorella to look beyond its own horizons as well." With that, she departed, leaving Elias to ponder the complexities of interstellar diplomacy and the unexpected personal connections that came with it. In the days that followed, Elias found himself increasingly involved in meetings and negotiations with delegates from across the Galactic Union. His interactions with Arabella had not gone unnoticed, and whispers of their budding rapport filled the corridors, fueling speculation and intrigue among the other delegates. This attention only intensified the scrutiny on Earth's bid for Union membership. One afternoon, as Elias prepared for a critical round of talks focusing on environmental stewardship, a topic close to Earth's ethos, he received an encrypted message. It was from Arabella, requesting his presence at a discreet location on the cruiser. The message hinted at urgency, and Elias felt a knot of concern tighten in his stomach. He made his way to the specified meeting point, a rarely used maintenance bay with a view of the engineering marvels that powered the Celestial Accord. Arabella was already there, her figure silhouetted against the backdrop of pulsing energy cores and swirling antimatter conduits. "Elias, thank you for coming," she began, her voice lower than usual, tinged with unease. "There are developments that you need to be aware of. A faction within the Union's Council harbors deep reservations about Earth. They fear your rapid advancement and unpredictable nature." Elias listened intently, his mind racing. What kind of reservations? And how widespread is this sentiment? "It is not widespread, but it is influential," Arabella explained. "They are old-line species, veterans of the Union who value stability over expansion. They see your youth as a liability, one that could bring discord to our established rhythms. Is there anything we can do to alleviate their concerns?" Elias asked, frustration edging his voice. Arabella's expression was serious. We must demonstrate that Earth can contribute to the Union in meaningful ways, beyond mere words and promises. Your environmental initiatives are a good start, but they may not be enough. Determined to prove Earth's worth, Elias spent the next few days redoubling his efforts. He engaged in environmental roundtables, presented case studies of Earth's successful reforestation projects, and debated passionately about the potential for new energy technologies. Meanwhile, his connection with Arabella continued to deepen, evolving into a complex blend of professional respect and personal admiration. They met often, sometimes to discuss strategy, other times simply to share stories of their respective worlds. Through these exchanges, Elias learned about Sorella's ancient culture, its art, and its people's profound connection to their planet's natural beauty. He shared tales of Earth's diverse landscapes and cultures, painting a picture of a world brimming with life and potential. However, their growing closeness did not go unnoticed. Rumors began to circulate, some benign, others less so. Whispers of a forbidden bond between a human diplomat and a Sorellian princess sparked a mixture of curiosity and concern among the delegates. One evening, as the celestial accord passed through the iridescent mists of the Helix Nebula, Elias and Arabella found themselves at a crossroads. They met under the stars, in a quiet garden dome on the cruiser, surrounded by exotic plants that shimmered with bioluminescent light. Arabella, whatever this is becoming, it's starting to draw attention, Elias said, his voice low. I don't want to cause you any political harm. Arabella faced him, her expression resolute. Elias, in you, I see a kindred spirit, she confessed. But you are right. We must consider the broader implications of our actions. For now, we should focus on securing Earth's position within the Union. They agreed to maintain a professional distance in public, to quell the rumors and focus on their shared goal. But as they parted that night, the mutual understanding and unspoken promises hung in the air like the stars themselves, distant yet burning brightly. As Elias returned to his quarters, he felt a mix of determination and regret. The path to Union membership for Earth was fraught with obstacles, but he knew that the stakes were too high to back down now. He would fight for his planet's future, armed with the knowledge and relationships he had forged among the stars. The challenge was immense, but the rewards, a place for Earth within the galactic community, were worth every effort. The quiet hum of the celestial accord was a constant reminder of the vastness of space surrounding them, a backdrop to the unfolding dramas within its confines. Elias Ward was deep in preparation for a crucial presentation to the Galactic Union's Environmental Committee when his communicator beeped with an incoming priority message. The screen flashed briefly, indicating the message's origin, Sorella. Elias's heart sank. Communication from Sorella during these tense times could only mean significant news. Opening the message, Elias read quickly, the words sending a chill down his spine. Sorella was experiencing a severe political upheaval. A radical faction had gained strength, leveraging public fear about external influences, particularly Earth's potential integration into the Union, as a tool to rally support for their isolationist policies. The message ended with a direct request from Arabella, asking for his discreet assistance. Elias knew that the situation was delicate. Sorella's internal politics were complex, and any misstep could exacerbate the crisis, potentially endangering Arabella and her family's position. He responded affirmatively, assuring her of his utmost discretion and support, then set about gathering a small, trusted team from the Earth delegation to formulate a plan. Later that evening, Elias met with his team in a secure conference room. The team consisted of Dr. Marian Alvarez, an expert in interstellar diplomacy and crisis management, and Lieutenant Commander James Sue, a strategic operations specialist. Together, they pored over every piece of information about Sorella's political landscape, the insurgent faction, and possible interventions that could help stabilize the situation without overstepping their bounds as outsiders. Elias, we need to be extremely cautious here, Dr. Alvarez advised as she tapped on her datapad, bringing up a map of Sorella's major political districts. Any direct intervention could be seen as an infringement on Sorella's sovereignty. We must instead find a way to support Arabella's faction subtly but effectively. Lieutenant Commander Sue nodded in agreement. One potential strategy is to enhance Arabella's diplomatic credibility within the Union. If we can expedite Earth's environmental initiatives and present them as beneficial not just for Earth but for the Union at large, it could sway the moderate factions on Sorella to see the value in maintaining strong Union ties. The team worked through the night, developing a multifaceted approach that included diplomatic outreach, information campaigns designed to highlight the benefits of Galactic Union membership, and discreet support for pro-Union Sorelian media outlets. Elias took personal responsibility for communicating their strategy to Arabella, ensuring it aligned with her own efforts and offered the necessary support without overt interference. Days turned into weeks, and the crisis on Sorella escalated. Protests erupted in major cities, and the radical faction's anti-Union rhetoric intensified. Meanwhile, Elias continued his diplomatic efforts within the Celestial Accord, meeting with key Union leaders to bolster support for Sorella's pro-Union faction. Through it all, his communication with Arabella became a lifeline for both. Their discussions were a blend of professional collaboration and personal concern, strengthening their bond even as they worked to navigate the treacherous waters of galactic politics. As the decisive day of the Environmental Committee's review arrived, Elias stood before the Assembly, ready to present Earth's initiatives. The chamber was filled with delegates from across the galaxy, each representing worlds with their own interests and agendas. Elias's presentation highlighted Earth's innovative approaches to sustainable development, but he also emphasized their potential applicability to other Union worlds, including Sorella. "The challenges we face on Earth are not unique to our world," Elias explained, his voice steady and clear. "The technologies and policies we have developed can be adapted to benefit all Union members, fostering greater sustainability and cooperation across our galaxy." The response was overwhelmingly positive. Delegates from various planets expressed their interest in Earth's technologies, and many praised the presentation's vision of a united, sustainable future. In the aftermath of the presentation, news from Sorella began to shift. Reports indicated that moderate factions were gaining ground, bolstered by the broader Union's expressed interest in Earth's initiatives and their potential benefits for Sorella. The tide was turning, and it seemed the radical faction's influence was waning. Elias received a private message from Arabella shortly after. Her words were a mix of gratitude and hope. "Your efforts have not only shown the best of what Earth has to offer, Elias, but they have also helped illuminate a path forward for Sorella in these dark times," she wrote. "Thank you for everything." As Elias read her message, he felt a profound sense of accomplishment and relief. The crisis was not over, but they had made crucial progress. He knew that the road ahead would require even more delicate maneuvering, and that the bond he and Arabella had forged would be tested by the challenges to come. Yet, for the first time since the crisis began, Elias felt cautiously optimistic about the future, both for Earth and for Sorella. The resolution of the crisis on Sorella, although far from complete, marked a pivotal moment in Elias Ward's diplomatic career and in the broader efforts of Earth to establish its place within the Galactic Union. The success of his presentation to the Environmental Committee had ignited interest across many worlds in the Union, propelling Earth to the forefront of discussions about sustainable technologies and collaborative development. Yet, the political unrest on Sorella served as a stark reminder of the delicate balance of power and the ever-present risk of upheaval. In the weeks that followed, Elias focused on leveraging the momentum he had gained. He organized a series of workshops and symposiums aboard the Celestial Accord, bringing together experts from Earth and various Union planets to discuss implementation strategies for Earth's environmental technologies. The sessions were a blend of technical deep dives and policy discussions, designed to foster a sense of shared purpose and collective action among the Union members. Meanwhile, on Sorella, Princess Arabella worked tirelessly to stabilize her planet. The radical faction had been weakened but not defeated, and its members continued to agitate, exploiting pockets of discontent and spreading misinformation about the Union's intentions. Arabella's messages to Elias were sporadic, each one conveying the immense pressure she was under, not only as a political leader but also as a symbol of Sorella's future. Elias's concern for Arabella grew with each communication. Their professional relationship had deepened into a personal connection, marked by a profound mutual respect and a shared commitment to their respective worlds. Elias knew that Arabella was placing herself at great risk, and he felt a growing urge to do more to support her. As Elias pondered his next steps, a new crisis emerged, this time directly involving the Celestial Accord. A coalition of radical anti-Union groups from various planets, including the weakened faction from Sorella, orchestrated a sabotage attempt on the ship's main energy core. Their goal was to disrupt the symposiums and undermine the emerging alliance between Earth and the Union. The attack was foiled thanks to the vigilance of the Celestial Accord security team, but the incident sent shockwaves through the Union. It was a clear signal that the forces opposed to integration and cooperation were more widespread and more desperate than many had believed. In response to the attack, the Union's High Chancellor convened an emergency meeting of the Security Council, inviting Elias to attend due to his growing influence and the target placed on Earth's initiatives. It was a rare honor for someone from a non-member planet, and Elias understood the weight of the responsibility he carried into the chamber. During the meeting, Elias argued passionately for a stronger collective security measure and greater transparency among the Union members to prevent such incidents. His speech was met with applause from some and skepticism from others, but no one could deny the urgency and sincerity of his message. "Let us not be divided by fear," Elias urged the council. "Instead, let our response to this attack be a testament to the strength of our unity and the resilience of our resolve. Together, we can forge a path that not only prevents such tragedies but also builds a future where all our worlds are safer and more connected." Moved by his words, the Council voted to establish a new interstellar task force dedicated to combating terrorism and enhancing security protocols across the Union. Elias was asked to serve as an advisor to the task force, a role that would link him even more closely to the Union's central operations. The establishment of the task force marked a significant victory, but for Elias, the struggle was far from over. His thoughts returned often to Sorella and to Arabella. Their shared mission had brought them together, and now more than ever, he felt bound to her cause and to the future they were trying to build. Determined to see the task through, Elias organized a covert mission to Sorella to meet with Arabella and her advisors. Under the guise of a diplomatic tour, Elias and a small team from Earth arrived on Sorella, where they were greeted with a mix of warmth and wariness. The meeting with Arabella was held in the Royal Palace, a sprawling complex that blended Sorellian elegance with formidable security measures. There, Elias and Arabella strategized late into the night, mapping out a plan to bolster her government's position and counteract the radicals' propaganda. As the meeting concluded, Arabella escorted Elias to the palace gardens, where they walked among the bioluminescent flora, a rare moment of peace in a sea of chaos. There, under the soft glow of Sorellian moons, they shared a quiet conversation about their hopes for the future, not just for their planets but for themselves. "Elias, no matter what happens, I want you to know that what we've started here, this collaboration, this fight, it's bigger than either of us," Arabella said, her voice steady despite the uncertainty of their situation. Elias took her hand, feeling the weight of her trust and the depth of their connection. "I know, Arabella, and I'm with you until the end. Together, we'll see this through." Their conversation was cut short by an urgent message. The radicals were planning another strike, this time aimed directly at the palace. Elias and Arabella rushed back inside, their brief respite shattered by the return to immediate danger. In the days that followed, Elias remained on Sorella, standing by Arabella's side as they navigated the crisis. Together, they worked to fortify the palace, communicate with the Union for support, and rally the Sorellian people to their cause. The climax came swiftly and violently. The radicals launched a daring assault on the palace, determined to capture Arabella and seize control. The battle was fierce, with both sides suffering losses. Elias, caught in the midst of the conflict, found himself fighting not just for the future of Sorella and Earth, but for the life of the woman who had become his partner in every sense. As the Sorellian security forces battled the insurgents, Elias and Arabella found themselves in a desperate situation, trapped in a section of the palace that had been overrun. With their protectors fighting to reach them, Elias did something he had never thought he'd do. He picked up a weapon and stood to defend not just Arabella but the ideals they both cherished. The battle raged around them, and in those moments, Elias realized how much he had changed. From a diplomat to a fighter, his journey had brought him to this point, where every shot fired and every move he made was a testament to his commitment to his cause and to Arabella. As they fought their way through the palace, Elias felt a clarity he had never known. This was what it meant to stand up for one's beliefs, to fight for one's friends, and to protect one's home. And as they finally broke through to safety, with the radicals being subdued and captured, Elias knew that this battle was just one of many they would face together. Exhausted but alive, Elias and Arabella emerged from the conflict with their bond stronger than ever. They had faced death and had come through it together, their partnership sealed by the fires of battle. In the aftermath, as Sorella began to heal and the Union rallied in support, Elias knew that the path ahead would be filled with challenges. But he also knew that he and Arabella were ready to face them together, whatever they might be. With Earth now a more integral part of the Galactic Union and Sorella stabilizing under Arabella's leadership, the future was uncertain, but it was theirs to shape. And Elias was ready to play his part, whatever it might be. The dawn of a new day on Sorella brought with it the promise of renewal and the daunting task of rebuilding. The palace, once a symbol of regal authority and tranquility, bore the scars of the recent conflict, its walls and grounds a testament to the ferocity of the battle fought. In the aftermath, Princess Arabella and Elias Ward stood side by side, surveying the damage, their minds heavy with the responsibilities that lay ahead. The insurgents had been defeated, their plot to seize control of Sorella thwarted by the combined efforts of the Sorellian security forces and strategic interventions from the Galactic Union, orchestrated by Elias. The crisis had galvanized the Sorellian populace, uniting them in a way that few other events could. It had also cemented the bond between Earth and Sorella, forging an alliance that was born of battle but rooted in a shared vision for the future. In the weeks following the conflict, Arabella focused on healing her world. With the support of the Union, she implemented reforms designed to address the social and economic disparities that had fueled the insurgency. Elias, for his part, served as an intermediary, facilitating discussions between Sorella and other Union members, leveraging his relationships to ensure that Sorella received the aid and support it needed. Meanwhile, the Galactic Union recognized the need for a more robust framework to prevent such crises in the future. Inspired by the cooperation between Earth and Sorella, the Union proposed the creation of a new coalition, one that would serve as a rapid response team for political and military crises within the Union. The coalition would not only enforce peace but also promote justice and reconciliation, ensuring that the causes of unrest were addressed, not just the symptoms. Elias was invited to help draft the coalition's charter. His experiences on Sorella, combined with his diplomatic expertise, made him a key figure in these discussions. Working alongside representatives from across the galaxy, Elias helped shape a new doctrine for the Union, one that emphasized proactive measures and collective responsibility. As the plans for the coalition took shape, Elias and Arabella found themselves at the center of a new galactic dialogue about the balance between sovereignty and collective security. Their relationship, once a source of whispered rumors, was now viewed as a beacon of potential for interspecies alliances. Their respect for each other's cultures and their shared experiences had proven that unity was not only possible but beneficial. Back on Earth, news of the events on Sorella and Elias's role in them had made headlines. The world watched as one of their own helped navigate through one of the most significant crises the Galactic Union had ever faced. Support for Elias's efforts swelled, and with it grew a new sense of pride and purpose. Earth was no longer just a fledgling member of the cosmic community, but a key player in shaping its future. On Sorella, Arabella organized a grand summit, inviting leaders from across the Union to witness the signing of the coalition's charter. The summit was held in the restored palace gardens, now fully rehabilitated and blooming with new life, symbolizing the resurgence of Sorella itself. Delegates from various worlds gathered, their diverse forms and colors a vivid tapestry against the lush green backdrop. Elias stood beside Arabella as she addressed the assembly, her voice strong and clear. "Today, we stand together not just as representatives of our worlds, but as guardians of our shared future," she declared. "This coalition does not signify the surrender of our sovereignty, but the affirmation of our interdependence. Together, we are stronger, wiser, and more capable of facing whatever challenges may come." The charter was signed amid applause and a sense of historic accomplishment. Elias felt a surge of pride, not just in what they had achieved, but in the journey that had brought them here. He had arrived on the Celestial Accord as a diplomat from a little-known world, and now he stood as a leader in a united galactic community. As the summit concluded, Elias and Arabella walked through the gardens, their conversation turning to the future. "What lies ahead will not be easy," Arabella said, her gaze meeting his. "But I can think of no one else I would rather have by my side." Elias smiled, taking her hand in his. "And I am here for Sorella, for Earth, and for you." In the distance, the setting sun cast a warm glow over the garden, the light glinting off the leaves and flowers, casting long shadows on the paths before them. It was a moment of peace, a rare pause in the relentless march of progress. The days ahead would bring new challenges, but for now, Elias and Arabella allowed themselves to enjoy the peace they had fought so hard to achieve. Together, they looked to the horizon, ready to face whatever the future held, confident in the strength of their bond and the alliance they had built. As the stars began to appear in the evening sky, mirroring the scattered lights of distant galaxies, Elias thought about Earth, a blue in a vast universe, now a beacon of hope and cooperation. He thought about the journey that had brought him here, about the battles fought and the alliances forged. And he realized that while the journey was far from over, they had already changed the course of history. Together, under the stars, they would continue to build a future, one of peace, understanding, and enduring cooperation. For Elias, Arabella, Earth, and Sorella, the journey continued, but whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, as partners, as allies, as friends.